Cool.
So it's Friday. It's Refresh Friday. Myself, Mr. Alex Snyder. And today we've got Mike DeCecco, DeCecco. No one knows how to pronounce his last name.
No.
Mike, what's going on, man? It's been a while, man. It's good to see you.
It's been too long. It's been too long.
So give our viewers a little bit of background on Mike.
You want me to give you my background? Let's see.
Yeah, why not?
Well, you started in the dealership, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I did a stint at the Leah Auto Group. They're in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. I think when I started, they had about 24, 25 stores or so, and kind of ran their e-commerce department, hired a bunch of staff, got them cranking on e-commerce. And I think they've since smartly diversified and divested some of their stores and kind of narrowed it down to the good ones. But yeah, and then I worked for autotrader.com in the early days.
What were you doing there?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, sales rep, one of their early sales reps, like when they launched the Super Bowl commercial, that kind of stuff.
A long time ago.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And then I worked also, the car business, it just gets stuck in your soul,
Brands your soul?
Yeah, I worked at Mannheim Auto Auctions at a little auction in upstate New York called Northway Exchange.
Yeah.
And set up dealers on Mannheim Online and Tracker and some of those old school products. And then when I was at Leah, I met Mark Monfigli, and really interesting story there, and came over and started working for Dealer.com in the early days there.
Is that a tellable story?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Dealer.com, I was working with the Leahs, and we said, hey, we're going to redesign the website. It was part of the initiative. When they brought me on board, we wanted to make a bunch of changes, and we were working with Cobalt at the time, like everybody else in the world was. And so we brought in a bunch of suits to come in and do presentations, and the guys from Reynolds came in, and the Cobalt guys came in, and they showed up with like 10 guys and like binders. Like, I don't know who brings binders to a website meeting. It doesn't make much sense to me, but so they showed up with all this stuff, and they're all buttoned up with their suits and ties and blah, blah, blah. And Bonfigli comes rolling in. He's the last guy to pitch, and he shows up with like flip-flops and like shorts and a T-shirt. And, goes through his whole pitch. And the Leahs, the fantastic guys, love him to death, still think they're fantastic. But the old man was, can you believe that guy? He showed up here, he doesn't wear a suit or a tie. He's got no respect for us, blah, 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 blah. And I said, yeah, but did you listen to what he said? Like, he was clearly smarter than everybody else that walked into the room. And, so we started arguing about, I said, well, this guy has a vision. He sees where it's going to go. And all these other guys are talking about what they did. And look what we've done already. And he was talking about the future. So we got down to the point where I said, well, if you're not going to let me choose the vendor that's going to be directly tied to my pay plan, I'm going to quit. And so that's how we became back then it was Earth Cars, and it was very early days. It was the early days of Dealer.com. And that's how we became a customer there. And
so you didn't quit.
I kept my job. Yep. For a while, until I realized that they were doing something pretty cool, and thought it would be fun to get over there. Yeah.
It's a cool story.
Yeah.
So what number salesperson were you at Dealer.com?
I think I was 2 or 3.
Right after Greg?
Mark and Marisa. Yeah, I was right after Greg. Yeah, Mark and Marisa were the first 2.
By the way, shout out to Greg, who just came on.
Oh, nice. Hey, man. Yeah, and then we brought on, some other guys, Tim Kelly, Chris Latta. We were like the first 5 guys there for a while. Yeah, it was cool.
Yep. All good friends to this day.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So after Dealer.com, you got together with Tom O'Leary.
Yep. And
how did the next venture go down?
So after the acquisition of Dealer, it was
which acquisition?
Acquisition number 1.
Okay.
DealerTrack.
DealerTrack 1. All right.
In all honesty, because I think that's what people want on the show. It was difficult. It's difficult, when somebody comes in and buys your company and then tells you that they think they can do what you're doing better than you can. And that's difficult to hear. It's difficult to deal with, especially, when you're one of the people that is driving the direction and really trying to move the company forward. And so it was time. It was time for me to take a step back from the automotive space, and so yeah, we started a company in the parenting space. We went out and we acquired a piece of software called Notably, which was a way to securely share pictures of your kids without using social media. And we naively thought we were going to build a SaaS platform for parents and, put together all these different applications that parents use to solve like ubiquitous problems, like carpooling and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. So you car guys were going to do this, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Car guys know everything about that, So, and then Tom left the company after a year. And then I stayed on, was the CEO, and we pivoted the company away from the original vision and moved into the publishing space, and became parent.com. We were pulling in several million visitors a month to the website, generating revenue through
the articles were great.
Oh yeah, you learn a lot of stuff. It certainly helped me with with my kids and whatnot. So we recently just sold that company off a few months ago. And it was time for me to get back into automotive because it's just kind of, running through my veins.
Your soul.
I think getting away for just a little while was probably the best thing that could have happened, to kind of give it some space and let it breathe, and then jump back in. And coming back into automotive, it was like, there's a lot of opportunities, with the experience that guys like you and some of us have. There's a lot of companies that there's a lot of places you could find yourself. But yeah, I ended up with these guys at eBlock, so it's cool.
I was going to say, so coming back into the automotive industry, what are you doing now?
So
fill us in.
I'm the vice president of sales and operations for US, employee number one in the States. So eBlock's a Canadian company. And they are killing it in Canada, running online auctions. They've been doing it for about 2.5 years. Fastest growing online auction company in Canada. But they've got some technology, and they've got a staff, and they've got some people that I really clicked with right away. And felt that they were doing some stuff that's really unique that really needs to happen in the space. I mean, I think all along they always thought that that the top technology would be better suited in the States and be able to grow faster in the States, just because of the market size and the other factors that go into growing a company in the States. There's just a lot more available revenue, right?
Yeah. And
so here I am. And I hired our first sales guy, Greg Anderson. He's watching.
Wow.
So, so I'm stuck with him for another 15 years probably. But, so we're kicking it off now. We're setting up offices. We just signed a lease. it's brand new. It's brand new.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. Pretty excited.
It's a little weird because normally the American companies head into Canada. You don't typically hear about the Canadian companies coming into the United States. So what's so different about it? Why is that?
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense because in the States, there's a lot of legacy practices. It's really difficult to break in the States. These guys just happen to be in Canada. The leadership team's from Canadian. My boss, Jason McClenahan, was the youngest GM ever at Odessa Auctions in Ottawa. It's a huge auction. And he's got, 20 years experience in the auction space. It's just really inspiring to see this Canadian company grow from nothing to doing, several thousand cars a month in the span of a couple of years. It all happened really, really quickly. And it only makes sense to take this thing south of the border. We can't just eat poutine and, drink beer. We gotta take this company, bring it down to the States. So they were really trying to find the right team to do that. The technology, I know we can't go through a demo and that kind of stuff on this call, but coming from dealer, and you know this, especially Alex, it's the best technology with the best team behind it is going to win. And I think we have a unique advantage in that way.
Yeah, right. So is this mostly online or is it mostly like a mobile app?
It's both. There's desktop. There's desktop version. Obviously, it's responsive, and there's a fantastic mobile app that goes along with it. And if you're not buying and selling in the wholesale online, you're missing out because
that's all we do.
Yeah, I mean the reach that you can get, the eyes you can get on your cars as a consignor is dramatically more than what you're going to get from the dude standing in the line, on the block.
What about the manufacturers up in Canada? Do you work with any of the manufacturers?
Just starting to have those discussions now with some of the manufacturers, get these off-lease cars coming in.
Yeah, that's where we get most of our cars.
Yep. Yeah, it's something that we're building on. And, we're getting good money for cars. We're getting a lot of eyeballs on cars. And the dealers are seeing the benefits, it's a lot less expensive to do it this way,
How come?
Right. Can't you keep the, who you're buying and selling from a little more local, cut down on transportation fees?
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. But there's also the benefit of geographical reach. I mean, there's guys that aren't afraid to travel hundreds of miles for the right car. So, you're going to get the guys that showed up at your Tuesday auction in the physical auction, but, now you're going to have guys from 500 miles around. And so the way that the systems are built, you can search geographically, in radius and all that kind of stuff. And then you can drill in and find the specific cars you're looking for. So it just makes sense. I mean, everything else that we do in life happens on this. If you're not able to do your key function as like a UCM at a store on this, you're missing out. You're really missing out. If you're only working with a few wholesalers, and you're taking yourself out of the store for a whole day. And don't get me wrong, like there's nothing more fun than going to a car auction and hanging out with your buddies. And like it's so fun. Like I get that, but you can be way better at your job if you're doing it with this.
True. But you can do both.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You need a reason to get out of the dealership, right?
Right.
Good, man. You never want to
go to the auction.
Give me 9 to 9 every day.
No doubt.
So we've had some pretty good things said about eBlock by a few of our Canadian community members.
Oh, cool.
So it's definitely being liked up there. And so what do you think it's going to take to get it really rolling in the States? I mean, and that's an unfair question. You're like, what, 2 weeks in? So.
Oh my God, Alex, my checklist and like the things that we have to do, it's monumental. It is not going to be an easy task. The good news is we've got a killer platform and it needs to, we need to go through and Americanize it, but I don't think that's going to be tremendously difficult.
You got to take all the A's out of there, right?
Got to take all the A's out. Yeah. A lot of kilometers. Got to get rid of the kilometers. Right. All that kind of stuff. But when that kind of simple blocking and tackling stuff is done on the platform, the difficulty lies, quite frankly, in regulatory, legal, and all that kind of stuff to get set up. It's a lot of business development work to set up the integrations that you need with the companies that you need to work with. It's a lot of, getting the licenses you need. I mean, in Canada, it's difficult, but it's a lot easier because you've got a much smaller amount of provinces. They like to play really well together. But here you've got, individual state taxes. You've got money transferring across state lines. You've got everybody wants a piece of their pie. You've got licensing is different in every state. Like all that stuff is difficult. And then you have to find the holding compound, that's centrally located where you can, deliver cars to, and because, you got to facilitate transportation and all that stuff. So it's a lot of logistical, legal, regulatory kind of BS you have to go through so that we can take this kick-ass thing that's working in Canada and bring it down here. Okay.
So that's probably a good reason why so many American companies head north versus the Canadian companies heading south.
Right.
A little easier to do things in the north when it's all kumbaya.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That makes sense. Because there's a lot of good stuff in Canada. I've been exposed to a ton of things over the past year, and it's shocking how much cool stuff is happening up there.
I think they're, not to cut you off, Alex, but I think that they're years ahead of us from a in-store customer experience standpoint.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Like, so for example, right now, you're a customer, you walk into the store in a Canadian dealership, and a lot of the big progressive stores on the main drag, right? You walk into their store, and you got a trade. And now it's, hey, let's hop on the phone. Let's get some numbers on your car. What they'll do is have a completely transparent appraisal process that they'll throw up on a screen and show the customer. Here's all the bids coming in on your car. This is what it's really worth, right? And they don't obfuscate that from the customer in many of these stores, and they create, it's kind of, I mean, you like to talk about reducing friction. I've heard you say that a bunch of times. It's one of the things that immediately takes the customer back from reality. Like, oh, that's right. Like, my car's not worth retail, and here's a whole bunch of people that are willing to, check writers on my car that are saying that this is what they're actually willing to pay for it. And it kind of removes that trust, or it drops that trust wall, makes it feel a little more transparent.
Gotcha.
They're doing some cool stuff up there. They really are.
Yeah, and not to get too promotional for eBlock here, but you did sort of throw yourself a softball on that one. Isn't there? There is a trade-in piece that, for me, that thing looks really cool.
Yeah.
How, would that be faster to get up and rolling than the auction side, maybe?
Potentially, yeah. We're kind of trying to do these things simultaneously, but most likely we'll have, we're calling it guaranteed trade. It might have a different name when we officially launch it.
You should call it trade-in marketplace.
Trade-in.
Tim.
We'll come up with something. I mean, I don't know. All the names are taken, And
I like the guaranteed trade. I think that's what you're calling it, right?
Yeah. It's a good name. We'll see. But I think the name doesn't matter. It's kind of what we're trying to do with the product a little bit different. And I'll try not to be salesy here and talk about it that way. But everybody knows that one of the main friction points is trade, and there's a million trade products in the market.
Well, especially trying to do an online appraisal. Yeah,
there's a million of these things out there, and you're working with a customer, and they've landed on a car, they love the car, or they're not quite sure, but they want to come in but they want to get a number, and they don't really know what they're talking about. So they're saying, well, how much is my 2010 beige on beige Camry that my grandmother gave me worth, right? And you say, well, I don't know, come on in. We'll let you know. That's the only way we're going to do this, right? But the dealers, it's a pain in the neck. You got 3 kids. Your life is super busy. Like, you're not going to get there, right?
Dealers to this day still don't want to give a number on a trade over the phone,
right?
Which boggles my mind. Like, why not?
Why not? I mean, you're going to bring a number, and then what's going to happen. You're going to walk in. They're going to walk in the door with their car, and then you're just going to beat the shit out of it. Right? You're gonna walk around it with a clipboard and say, oh, there's a ding here, this there, this there, this there. You're gonna get to the number that you want to pay for it anyway. But the thing is that there's a way that you can integrate the customer into that process, and I think that's what's unique about what Guaranteed Trade is doing. So, for example, let's say even a salesman or internet manager is working with a customer. Customer says, I really want to get a number on my car. I don't want to come in until you tell me what my car is worth. All right. Well, if you're sitting at the desk at the dealership, how are you supposed to facilitate that?
Yeah.
Right? Maybe the customer say, go out and take a picture of it for me, or whatever it might be. So what Guaranteed Trade is it's a light app. So internet manager at the store, working with a customer, says, I want a number on my car. We say, great, I'm gonna text you a link. Give me your phone number. I'm gonna text you a link. It's gonna download a light app on your phone. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a product that Dealer.com had, which was called like mobile lot capture. You walk around and it would show silhouettes of the car, and you'd have to go around. A lot of companies have that now. And so you put the customer in control of that, right? So you give them this app, they go around, they take a picture of the VIN, they take a picture of the interior photos. You walk them right around through the process. Here's all the photos that we need. The VIN scan is going to give you most of the data. You ask them some questions, they put all that stuff in. Now all of that comes into your CRM as a lead, right? And now you can take it from there and you can send it out to create Steel Biz with your wholesalers. So you've got your.
Does it automatically go out, or is it sort of parked?
You can decide. So it parks because you might want first crack on that car. Let's say it's an on-brand car for you. You might want to take the first crack at it, right? But then you can decide, I want to send this out to my dealer network. So when you sign up for the product, you just have the phone numbers of the guys that you're working with, right? They get a text link. It opens up on their phone, and they can swipe through, take a look at all the photos, take a look at the condition, fire back a number on that car that comes directly to you as a sealed bid. It's awesome, right? It replaces the hey, I'm going to go pick up the phone and ask my wholesalers or my buyers for a blind number on a car, right? You're never going to get the best number that way. So at least in the best case scenario, or the worst case scenario, you're going to get better numbers because the people putting the check writers on the cars are going to have more information to write a better number. Right?
Do you think consumers would be willing to like download an app just to do something like that? I mean, I know that there's been a couple different online trade pieces that allows the consumer to upload, photos of their vehicle. They're sort of long-winded forms, and the conversion on those suck.
Yeah, totally.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So now you're saying, hey, let's put an extra step. Maybe once they get past that step, it's a lot easier because you're actually, step 1, step 2, step 3 for the customer. But getting the customer just to download the app, is that something you're worried about? Or
I don't know if it's worried about it, but I hear what you're saying. It's definitely a piece of the process, but we think that the benefits outweigh the end result, where that, if you got,
don't get me wrong, I would do it. I mean,
I'd do it too.
Let's say you're a credit qualified buyer who and the vehicle is in stock at the store, and this is just your only hurdle. You're a really busy person. You're not going to be able to get there, but you want to put together a deal where you're going to walk in the door and there's going to be no surprises, right?
So what you need to do is have a form in the very beginning. So when they log in, when they download the app and they log into the app, it pulls their information, enough information for you to be able to automatically do a credit pull.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Give us your 5 and then download this app. Yeah.
That could be a neat little integration.
Could be. I mean, that's the thing. This thing's brand new.
I gave you that idea, okay? Don't forget.
All right. Yeah. Don't start asking for a rev share, okay? Just slow down.
Not yet.
Just do some advertising on Dealer Refresh.
There we go. Yeah, we heard you guys are really cheap, so we're into that.
Yeah, we are.
For you, we are.
Yeah.
We're total whores.
But yeah, no, it's a really valid question and concern. But I think when that customer takes the time to do that, now you've got the hottest possible lead.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And so yeah, there's a little bit of friction there, and there's always going to be friction in the sales process. It doesn't really matter. This whole concept of completely frictionless that a lot of people are talking about. I get it. Like you can get it so that it's lower friction, but it's not like we're just going to slather this thing in Astroglide. I'm telling you, like it's just the car buying process is more difficult, and it's a big deal for the consumer. And if you get somebody to go out and take those photos and do the things that you're asking them to do, they're so far down the funnel at that point. And I know what a lot of dealers are going to say. They're just going to take that number and they're going to shop it. Fine. Weren't they going to do that anyway?
Well, no, not necessarily. I only say if you give it the least amount of friction, give the consumer the least amount of friction, and as soon as they try and shop it and they get a lot more friction, they automatically just come back to you.
Sure.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Make it as easy as possible, the less amount of friction. And people want efficiency. They want an easy buying experience.
Yep.
So if you provide that to them, you're already you're on the top of the list.
Well, and that's worth more money to people too.
Well, that's what especially today.
Yeah. And there's things that the dealers can do to incentivize consumers to use the application too, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's stuff that you can do at the store, when you come in, we're going to give you this or whatever it is, right? To get them.
We sell several cars a month just through text.
Sure.
And it's only because we were willing to do text. It wasn't because we had the best price. It wasn't because, most of the time our text messaging customers are, anywhere from 45 to 2 hours away, 45 minutes to 2 hours away. And it was just because it was easy.
It's the way
because we were willing to communicate with them on an efficient level. Simple as that.
It makes a huge difference. It really does. So if you can get a link in a text and download an app, and it's a one-time use, I get it, right? Yeah. Maybe not exactly what the what everybody was thinking, but I think the benefits outweigh the risk of that. You know?
Well, and it's so easy to download an app and throw it away when you're done with it anyway. So,
well, it's, how often do we do that? How many apps are on my phone that that are still hanging around that I never use?
Right.
I should delete them. So because it was a one time, check it out, what's going on, and move on.
Right.
So, yeah, it's I guess we're as consumers we're a lot more friendly with apps now. It's just an easier process than what it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that was a long way of answering that question.
It was.
All right. So what is that? 2 questions down here? So on the auction side, Mike.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how things are vast. So the number of eyes on the cars is vastly increased.
Yeah.
But did I read somewhere about how you can sort of control who's looking at your cars too? So if you wanted to take something and throw it up on eBlock and say, I only want it to be shown to dealers on my street.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. I don't think so. Okay. The eBlock model is relatively unique because it's completely transparent. So everybody that's bidding on your car and what they're bidding. So it's not a sealed bid auction. And but I think
Well, why would you want to do that, Alex? Where are you going with that?
Yeah.
Well, so a lot of times, I was trading in a BMW on a Ford, and my Ford dealer didn't, obviously didn't want my car or want my trade. So yes. He was talking to all the different Highline stores on Shelburne Road here in Vermont, and just trying to work something real fast locally. He wasn't about to throw it out there to a full Mannheim event kind of thing. So just wondering, in some cases, would there be a way to say, just show it to these guys or something along those lines?
That problem is kind of solved from the other end through faceted search on the buyer side, right? So
I was going to say, what about the wholesalers? You get,
right.
I mean, does that become like a segmented group that you can shoot it out just to your wholesalers within the app?
Oh, you certainly could. I mean, the guaranteed trade side, you're going to set up your guys that you want, the guys that always put numbers on your cars, you're going to set them up, right? On the eBlock side, you can't really say, I don't want these people to look at my cars, right? But on the buyer side, that kind of happens naturally anyway, because the application is facet search in such a way that you can say, all right, I am a BMW store. I want to see all the BMWs first. I want to see, and you can handle it that way. But what's kind of also cool is that it throws up, it learns your buying habits and throws up suggested cars. So that's kind of relatively unique in the space where, you're buying a bunch of cars through eBlock, and then we'll kind of set up here's a suggested run list for you, or here's the run list for next week. And we've kind of pulled out these 20 cars that might be the ones based on what you bought in the past that you should be looking for. And the integrations into CRM and all those kind of tools just start to kind of just go crazy in your head. Wow, what could we do with this? If you've got a million cars on Car Finder, right? Or you got all these customers on Car Finder, that you didn't sell a car to, but you know what they were looking for. How can you populate that into the app so that you can set up a run list that's kind of got buyers ready to go at the store? That all those kind of things can happen when you start using technology and you get out of the holding up your flyer every day.
Do you guys facilitate the transportation such?
Yep, can handle transportation, titles. eBlock handles the money, so the dealers aren't writing checks to each other.
Okay. Huh. So like an escrow kind of thing?
Yep. So we do pre-authorized debit and EFT. So dealer A sells car to dealer B. As soon as dealer A gives us the title, right? So dealer A, as soon as we get title, we pay selling dealer on the car, and then we go and we'll do a debit pull from selling dealer directly into our account, and everybody gets paid. We do all the processing. We handle transportation as well. So in Canada, the way it works is there's holding compounds in the, the greater metro areas that the company's working in, and they're just kind of, loading zones, cars coming and going out of there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you said earlier you hired your first salesperson. What's your plan of strategy to get this across the States?
Well, it's a lot of work, but I think what we're looking for right now, especially on the guaranteed trade side, but also on eBlock, is dealers that are willing to try it out and work with us. We're not asking for any money. What we really want to do is understand how it's working in the store for you. Get feedback on the product. How can we improve? What can we do better? Share some data with us. What's your closing rate like on these guaranteed trade leads? We need to figure out and build the best marketing campaign we can for the product. So we need data. We need understanding. We need to know how it's working. So the dealers that take the risk with us early and try out something new, they're going to be hooked up for a while with eBlock. Yeah. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff, and eBlock is free to use. We don't charge seller's fees. So it's only on the buyer side. So we just want people getting cars up there, getting them sold. So the model is a little bit different. It's a lot less expensive to get all these eyeballs on your car, but the key is we're looking for the right kind of dealers that the used car manager isn't collecting $100 every time he sells the car to a wholesaler. He's not, we're looking for the guys that really want to get into this, and there's been some of that, in Canada. We want to make sure that the guys that we're getting up, it's like, don't give us your aged units, don't give us like your junk on the back 40, like don't give us that kind of stuff. We're going to get more eyeballs on your car. So give us the good stuff and we'll get you the numbers, and some of the stuff that we're doing is really cool. So the reps in the market, car goes into an if bid, doesn't sell, but it's pretty close. We'll go and mediate that transaction and make sure that the bid goes on and that we can get cars sold for those dealers. So it's pretty cool, pretty hands-on stuff.
So it sounds like we need to do a deals for dealers thread on this.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of dealers for dealers, we've got quite a few that are alive right now. I know Melinda Terrari over there, One-to-One News, she's got a dealers for dealers. I think it's 90 days free, if I'm not mistaken. And then Ryan Leslie posted something earlier this week with Car Insights with Vast Car Story. And then we just had another one. I think it was a website provider, some type of analytics or something. I was reading it before we jumped online here.
There's so many, it's hard to keep up with.
What we'd love to see is if there's anybody on the show that runs a captive auction of their own, we'd love to be the technology that powers that and blows it up.
Explain.
So you're an auto group, and every Friday you.
Oh yeah. We used to do that when I worked at Shared Automotive. We would do it was a silent auction.
Yep.
So maybe they still do it. I'm not for sure.
Yeah, I think Checkered Flag might do some of that.
Yeah, all the wholesalers would come to that location.
Yep.
And everything was out. It was a silent auction. So this be a great solution for something like that.
I mean, you
wouldn't have to show up.
You don't have to show up, and the dealer's going to get way more eyeballs on those cars, right? So they can set. And one of the things that's really unique about what we're doing is that, like other auction platforms, you put up a car that's up there, it's up there forever, and you just kind of wait for it to happen. We're really simulating the actual auction experience. So cars are sold in 60 seconds. The car's on the block and it's gone. It's not like the car's going to sit up there. We do have 24-hour auctions, and you can do appraisals and that kind of stuff. But if you're running a car on the run list and it's up in the auction, that car's up on the block, it sells or it doesn't sell and goes to if bid, and it's off. It's not going to sit on there for days and hours. We're trying to create urgency around vehicles that are up for sale. So it's kind of like we're really simulating the live auction experience. And when you watch the app, and you watch it on your phone, it's crazy cool. I mean, like you actually see like the time. You'll have 4 cars that you're watching. You'll see the time counting down, and another bid goes up and it's counting down and counting. It's so sick. I mean, the technology is fantastic. And I think that's what guys want. You want that excitement, It's like the last 2 minutes of an eBay auction. You want to make.
Yeah, it's exciting for sure.
So this might be a little bit of a curveball, but one of the things that Manheim does in particular for online auctions is they guarantee the what's shown is what you'll get.
Yeah.
How do you guys tackle that part?
So we go out and we verify the cars. So we have we've got capture reps that go out, take the photos in the car ourselves. The dealer can do it, but if you're looking at a car in eBlock and it has like a little blue shield with a check mark, that means that we were the one that captured that car. We went around, we did the tread depths, we did the paint depths, we did the we actually verified that car is what it is, and we stand behind those cars on the block. So very similar. So it's we do verified condition reports on cars. And then we obviously the dealers can capture their own cars and put those cars up too, but they're not going to show as verified cars.
Yeah, you got a little comment from Mark Bonfigley saying it's like Vegas.
I'm glad he's watching. He's in flip-flops and shorts somewhere. I know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he might even be on an airplane somewhere.
Oh, now he's texting me. See, you're killing me, Mark. I'm trying to get here. But yeah, no, I mean, I think all in all, the rollout, to get back to the rollout, it's going to be we got to find the dealers that are looking to do something different. Like talk about those captive auctions. You're running those auctions. It's a lot of manpower. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of work from your staff and your title clerks and all that kind of stuff. We're doing all that. We can power your online auction and let you handle all the money and the titles, or we can power your online auction and you can just step away from it and do nothing. We'll handle everything else. It depends on how you want to do it.
I can think of a few dealers who'd probably be interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Just a few.
No, I mean, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. There's only so many times there's only so many people you can get to show up at a set time for your actual event, but everybody has this no matter where they are.
Right.
So you can still have your event at your day, at your time, but why wouldn't you make it accessible to everyone with one of these as opposed to just the people that can show up that day? You're going to get more money on your cars, period.
For sure.
Well, do we want to end it there and say, guys, here's a unique opportunity? Yeah. Because there are plenty of dealers on Dealer Refresh who are all about being early adopters of things, especially when the money's right, and free is kind of hard to ignore. We'll get this up in the forums, and Mike, make sure you come over there and post a little bit and
sure.
answer any questions that pop up.
Yeah. I remember I was on Dealer Refresh back in the day all the time. I mean,
yes, you were.
The folks that are listening to this right now are the people that we want, because they're taking the time out of their day to try to make their jobs a little easier and get better at what they do. And those are the kind of people that we want, So.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely appreciate you jumping on with us today, Mike.
Likewise.
I wish you all the luck in the world. We'll try to help you as much as we can.
Really, really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for everything. And let me know what else I can do. I'll hop on those forums. If anybody's got questions, hit me up. And we'd love to see some dealers start using this thing pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll get that up right away. So everyone's listening, please jump over to the forums. We'll have something up here shortly. If you're one of those lurkers that we have many of on the forums, just sign up. Become part of the community. Quit being a lurker.
That's free too.
Yeah, it's free. So, and then of course we'll be back here next Friday. If you're looking for some of our older or previous recordings of Refresh Friday, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, we'll be back here next Friday. So again, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Alex, thank you.
Have an awesome weekend.
All right. See everybody soon.
Fellas.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.